Hey there, this is my channel Eastbound YouTube. On this channel, I try to help other micro creators grow and get traction on YouTube. This video is the first video in a series of videos of why I think an iPhone is a great choice. In this series of videos, I break down how to use your iPhone, the apps to get, and how to manage issues like storage and video quality. In my personal opinion, where my YouTube account is at this moment, I think my iPhone will serve me as my primary recording device for a long time to come. This video is all about why I've made that choice and why maybe you should also make that choice. First off, why an iPhone? Now, when I say iPhone, I just use iPhone because this is what I have. This is what a lot of other people have. I personally have one of the latest iPhone 11 Pros, and even if you have one of the older iPhones or maybe not the Pro model, it's still a great choice. Also, you don't necessarily need an iPhone. I personally have a Windows PC. I do all my editing and stuff like that on Windows apps. So there's no real advantage to having an iPhone other than the fact iPhones tend to have really amazing cameras. But if you have any other Android flagship phone or anything like that, those all come with amazing video capabilities. They often are able to shoot in 1080p, 4K, and 2K. So even if you don't have an iPhone, as long as you have a phone that is relatively new and can take great quality videos for a phone, then you're set to go. So why an iPhone? We all carry these phones in our pockets. And so if you're like me, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, and the options were to try to use my phone, and I didn't understand how to first use the iPhone. That's why I'm starting this video series, is because there's certain apps, lighting techniques, and storage solutions that makes using an iPhone an actually really compelling choice. So I was sitting there and I just had a phone, I didn't really know how to use it, and I thought I had to buy a really expensive camera. Now, as much as I would love a really expensive DLSR or anything like that, I do think those cameras take better quality. But the thing is, to get a camera that takes better quality than what an iPhone can do, especially some of the latest iPhones, you have to easily spend between $400 and $500 just to see a significant bump. There are other benefits to actual cameras, but when you're starting a YouTube channel, some of those benefits aren't really necessary or useful to you in the beginning. I think one of the biggest strengths of an iPhone is just how easy it is to use. It is really intimidating when you're first handed a really high quality camera. There are so many options. There are so many things to change and edit. Learning how to use those tools will undoubtedly give you better video quality. But when you're first starting, that's not what you should be worried about. You shouldn't be worried about what ISO do I use. You shouldn't be worried about shutter speed or aperture. All you really need to focus on is what is my content, how am I delivering it, and what can I do to get better in that space? And that's why I love the iPhone, is it takes all these more complicated things and puts it into the foreground. It puts it off into the future when you can focus on those things when you've already mastered some of these other basic skills. Another thing I like about the iPhone versus full DSLRs is just the field of view. And for those that don't know, the field of view is this cone that comes out of the camera. It basically is just how much you can see. Another way to look at it is it's this box around what you're looking at, the camera can actually see. One of the other things I like about having the iPhone is I can have it literally this far away and it captures everything I want. Using a full frame camera and those lenses, you have to either buy a really expensive lens that has a much wider field of view, or you have to set the camera really far back. For me personally, in my YouTube studio, which is my room, I don't have that much room. I really don't have a lot of room to play around with. And so having an iPhone where I can get it real close up to me makes it amazing. Another reason this is important, even if you have a lot of space in your room or studio to set a camera far out from you, is the fact that having the camera closer, and in the case of an iPhone, you get a lot better quality. You always want the mic as close to you as possible. And sure, you can get a boom arm and you can get all these cords and you can get the mic closer to you. But ultimately, I find that it's much easier just having an iPhone and having it on the tripod and being able to set up my mic right there. And that's another thing, is if you don't really have the money to invest right now into a mic, an iPhone's microphone is actually much better, in my opinion, than most base cameras, especially in the $400 range. But here's one of the most important reasons why I think I'm going to continue using an iPhone for the foreseeable future on my main channel and then this channel. And that reason is budget. When starting a YouTube channel, you also have to create a studio. There's actually a lot that goes into creating a studio. Even a budget studio, it's gonna cost money. One of the things I wasn't really prepared for when starting a YouTube channel is just how much other stuff I have to buy. I have to buy lighting, I have to buy tripods, I have to buy a mic, I have to buy storage to save all my files on. There's a lot that goes into creating a studio. Because that's the thing, when you're starting a channel, you also kind of have to set up a studio. If you're a talking head video like I do, which is where you sit in front of the camera and talk, you need a place to film. Even if you're doing other kind of stuff, you still need to set up an environment where you can film. And you need to support that environment. And something that's important to take into account is that you're going to have to spend money regardless. It doesn't matter how good of a camera you get. If you don't have the right lighting for your room, your video quality is gonna suck. If you don't have a space that's interesting or well set up to film in, it's gonna suck. And that's the thing, I'd much rather spend that money on getting amazing lighting and improving the video quality I can get on my iPhone, because regardless, I'd have to get that lighting anyway. Having an amazing camera doesn't mean you don't have to buy all these accessories. You still have to buy things like lighting and a mic. So when I sit down and I look at my budget, I could spend $450 to $550 and get a camera that is better than my iPhone. But would it be better enough to justify the price? In my opinion, especially with the iPhone model that I have, I don't think so. I think the bump up in video quality would be noticeable, and I do think it would add to my channel. But I would have to spend $500 to get a camera that has that much more better video quality than my iPhone already shoots. I already have the iPhone. I already have something that, in my opinion, gives great quality video, and I'd much rather spend that budget on everything else I need. And that brings me to my next point. The big YouTubers talk about this thing of video quality versus audio quality. And almost all of them unanimously say that video quality versus audio quality will always beat out video quality. That means it is more important for you to invest time and effort into improving the audio of your videos over the video quality of your videos. And that's why I think the iPhone is an amazing opportunity, because you already have very passable video quality. Sure, if you're thinking long term, eventually you'll get to the point where you'll outgrow an iPhone. But it's gonna take a long time on YouTube to get to the point where you can outgrow your iPhone. What it's not going to take you a long time to do is outgrow the audio quality on your YouTube channel. People hate bad audio quality. So when I was looking at mics, I'd much rather spend $50, $100, $150 on an amazing mic to go along with my iPhone than blow all of my budget on a camera and then sit there with still bad audio. So that's why I think the iPhone's great. You've already spent the money on the iPhone. You already own the iPhone. You already own your phone. You already have access to it. So why not leverage that and get a huge step in the direction of a channel? And this brings me to my next interesting point. The psychology of wanting to go big when starting something. It's interesting because whether it's YouTube or fitness or a new hobby, I find that when we start something and we're really passionate about starting it, we have this tendency to want to go big. And what do I mean by that? For instance, I'm a huge rock climber, and when people get into rock climbing, they want to buy these $160 rock climbing shoes because they think that using these really expensive shoes will give them such an edge. And the crazy part is, until you know how to leverage those tools, you're ultimately wasting money because you don't really necessarily know how to use that tool. Another thing I love to do is cycling, and you can easily spend between $2,000 and $10,000 on a road bike. But when you're just starting, you don't even realize how to use that tool, and you're severely putting yourself on this weird back step because you have this amazing piece of technology, but you don't know how to use it. And that's the same philosophy about YouTube. It's really tempting, if you want to start a channel, to convince yourself, okay, I need a $500 camera, I need a really amazing microphone, I need to set up this studio, I need to spend all this money, because if I spend that money, it will give me such a better chance at being successful on YouTube. And the thing is, I don't know if that's necessarily true. And another thing, I genuinely want to warn you about spending a lot of money when first starting a YouTube channel. Sure, you may be motivated right now and you may think it's really amazing, but you may discover that this isn't for you. Which is why I love the iPhone, is because if I decide that YouTube is not for me, then I don't all of a sudden have a $400, $500, $600 camera that I'm not going to do anything with. I personally don't really shoot photography, and when I do go hiking or anything like that, as much as I would love a really amazing camera, I don't really like the idea of lugging one around. For me, my iPhone is good enough. So if all of a sudden I decided to stop doing YouTube and had I bought a really expensive camera, it would literally just be sitting there. And yeah, sure, I could sell it and I could make some profit, but I would be losing money. So that's another thing, is I really want to caution you, when you're buying any gear for your YouTube channel, buy budget gear. It will suck. It will not do everything you want it to do. But the thing is you won't be wasting money in the long term. And this brings me to the last thing I would suggest for you. And this is a personal philosophy of mine. I've set it up so I have certain subscriber and view goals before I buy a certain quality of gear. For instance, I've personally decided that I want to wait until I hit 1,000 subscribers before I even consider buying a high quality camera for my channel. And the reason I do that is because I want to reward myself for growing on YouTube. If I do hit that 1,000 sub goal, I want to be able to say, hey, I've worked really hard. Now I get to reap the benefits of adding this amazing tool to my lineup. And plus, if I hit 1,000 subs, at that point, I'm secure in the fact that YouTube is something I want to do, and that investment into a camera makes sense. For example, some of the other long-term goals I have is when I hit 50 subs, I want to buy a much better microphone for my camera. Right now, I have a $50 one, and that works well enough for me. And the idea is to have this chain of small rewards to keep you motivated to growth. And that's why I don't think you should go out and buy the best quality things you can, because you don't know if this is something you're going to be doing long term. And also, you get to reward yourself for the growth and success you have on YouTube. And just one last extra piece of personal philosophy of why I'm approaching it this way is when I look back on my YouTube channel, I want to see how it steadily gets better. One of the coolest things to do is to go back on some of my older videos where I didn't understand lighting and audio and watch those, because now when I watch my videos, I have such a better understanding of how to get good audio quality and good lighting quality. And my videos are so much better now. And that's the same thing I want to see with my entire channel, is 6 months from now, I want to look back on videos I'm making now and be like, oh wow, I've learned so much since then. So I really like the idea that one day, if I do move up to a full frame camera, of being able to take a leap in my YouTube quality. I think it would suck if I started out completely with the best quality camera that I could, and I didn't ever get to see that opportunity to watch my channel grow. So the last thing I want to touch on before the finishing of this video is, what are the cons of having an iPhone? The three main issues I think with an iPhone are this, and it's not video quality. Like I said, I think the video quality on an iPhone is more than good enough. So what are they? A lack of advanced options, storage. You will find that especially if you're recording in 2K or 4K, you will quickly run out of room on your iPhone. And then lastly, accessing your objects. One of the great things about cameras, especially full frame cameras, is you can just pop an SD card in, you can record to that, you can get massive SD cards, and accessing those files are super simple. But the good thing is, in this series of videos on how to start a YouTube channel with an iPhone, I'm going to show you how to tackle those three main problems and make recording and creating content with your iPhone so much easier. So stick around for that. If you got any value out of this, please consider liking and subbing. I really do think an iPhone is a compelling and amazing choice for people starting. Please, if you have a nice iPhone or a nice phone, consider using this. Spend that budget on things like microphones, lighting, storage, and stuff like that. In the long run, it will make for much better video quality than actually getting a camera that can shoot amazing video, because you're still gonna need to spend that money on lighting and mics and all the other stuff. Save the money. Let an amazing camera be a reward in the future, because this is perfectly good enough. Thank you.